Hello everyone, Sulli-Ween Bard here, or you can call me Sully. Since it's still the month of Sulli-Ween, I want to review another traditional Tim Burton project or movie, and most of what I covered so far has been mixed to positive, and what I got here is an unusual one from him. But it has the same screenwriters of Ed Wood and came out 20 years after Ed Wood, which is a film I reviewed last year for its 30th anniversary. And this film is one I'm so mixed on that the positives I have for it aren't quite enough to make it a favorite. First released on December 25th, 2015, Christmas Day, it's Big Eyes. Director Tim Burton had made an crime drama on Big Eyes painter Margaret Keane with alright characters, an alright story, and fine cinematography and effects when needed. The story, starting in 1958, follows single mother and painter Margaret Ulbrich, having left her husband and takes her young daughter Jane from Northern California to North Beach, San Francisco, where she works in painting illustrations for a furniture factory. Later at an outdoor art show, Margaret meets another painter named Walter Keane, who's selling his Persian street signs but works in real estate. Margaret grows fond of Walter's charm, even when he mistakes her daughter as a buyer when she's the model of her mother's art. And so, Margaret and Walter went from being friends to lovers, and, even after Margaret's ex-husband wants custody of Jane, Walter proposes to Margaret and they get married and spend their honeymoon in Hawaii, allowing Margaret to have custody of Jane. Walter tries to feature and sell his and Margaret's art, even unsuccessfully to an art exhibitor named Reuben, but he manages to have them featured on the walls of a club owned by Enrico Banducci. And after a fight Walter had with Enrico about the space he's given, the club becomes packed with people wanting to see the Big Eyes painting, getting the attention of columnist Dick Nolan, who thought the Big Eyes paintings were Walter's. Walter goes along with Margaret's art being his, until Margaret catches him lying to sell her work. But once the couple are asked on who created the Big Eyes paintings, Walter takes all the credit, and has Margaret paint many Big Eyes paintings in secret in her studio, and having them shown in his own art gallery, and eventually, Walter takes the art world by storm, from selling the paintings in stores to making up his own stories for why he paints. All the while, Margaret grows a feeling of isolation and goes along with Walter's lie to Jane, until Margaret discovers who Walter really is, and an art critic named John Kennedy criticizes Walter and his art, even before Margaret's painting of Tomorrow Forever as Walter's own is shown publicly at the New York World's Fair. For a Tim Burton film, and his second one based on true events and a real person, this is a very different experience than other dramas he had done, like Ed Wood, Edward Scissorhands, or Big Fish. But where Ed Wood had a sense of passion with the man's unknowingly obsession of filmmaking, and Scissorhands and Big Fish had more fanciful elements, this one's very grounded and didn't have the same nuance or intrigue that Ed Wood had. But there's at least a sense that Burton did direct this, even if his imaginative style felt lacking. The cinematography has angles and lighting that gave an otherworldly feeling. The colors have a similar pastel and moody look like in Edward Scissorhands, as well as the costume design. And while the effects are minimal, the only signature effect for Burton is a scene where Margaret goes shopping and sees people with big eyes, looking a little creepy, and she later sees herself with big eyes. I do get the meaning behind this, as she's been kept in her studio for so long, painting nothing but big-eyed children, and the fumes of turpentine might have attributed to that, as well as presenting her mental struggles of living a lie. Yet these moments are very minor, and I felt there could have been more to it, and would give the film more of an identity as a Burton film. And Danny Elfman's music felt as forgettable as the score in Big Fish. The acting, on the other hand, is okay for the most part, especially with these actors who are mostly or all new for a Burton film, like Amy Adams, Christoph Waltz, Danny Hudson, Terrence Stamp, and Jason Schwartzman. Though Waltz in particular is fine at being his charismatic yet occasionally threatening presence, and I do get a smirk on occasion from him. Plus there's some narration from Danny Hudson's character, but it's only used sparingly, and there could have either been more of it, or maybe none at all, because why is it included if it's not used more? However, there's little engagement or entertainment I got out of this film. I was never bored of it or even hated it, and what I got from it isn't much and is okay at best. But as someone who enjoys and loves Tim Burton for his visual style, weirdness, and fanciful nature, this film, for being so grounded in reality, didn't quite please me as much as his other films. 2.5 mixed jack-o'-lanterns. And that is it. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon in the next video for Sulli-Ween.